the album I'm working on now, like a lot of music I'm working on now is kind of exploring this idea of finding your identity, of like kind of shedding away the parts of you that maybe were just residuals left over from trying to impress certain people or seek, validation for certain people. So that's something I'm actively thinking about every day right now. And I think that process and that journey draws people in and makes people more attached to you in the first place. I'm just gonna make the best music I can for now and figure out who I am, and it'll come naturally. I mean, what I remember specifically about that house is it was sort of like the party house. Like my family, we would have all the like family gatherings, like Thanksgiving would be there a lot, like Christmas, people would come over afterwards, and everybody, like when I was a kid, just like running around, like all the uncles and aunts getting messed up, drinking and stuff, playing basketball in the back, just like that classic like black family cookout house. As far as like Jersey goes, it was, there's a lot of different experiences you can have in New Jersey, depending on where you're at, just like even north, south, like the different counties is very different. And for me, I never really felt like I directly fit into any of those scenes, but my life has kind of just been about translating myself into all these different spaces and figuring out where like the actual me exists, like within all of that, like amalgamation, all that different stuff. My experience in the music industry, it's been good, but it's also just been one of people not really fully understanding me, and I'm okay with that. I'm not like bitter about it at all. Like I understand that the game I'm playing is a long game. It's not like I'm never gonna be that guy who puts out the 3 mixtapes a row and gets on like a hot future streak and takes off that way. I'm gonna be the type of artist that builds a slow following by like just creating consistent quality content and really putting myself, like all of myself personally, into my projects. I don't know if there was a specific moment where I knew like I was gonna be doing music, but growing up, I had a lot of musicians around me. So I'd say probably around like 7 or 8, I was already thinking about my future as a musician. And then maybe, I guess, like when I saw Kanye at the Garden, my dad took me because I wanted to go see him, and they went to Camden, and my friend was going to Camden. My dad was like, "You're not going to Camden," because Camden, it's rough. And so we went to the Garden. My dad didn't know anything about Kanye at the time. This was like a Glow in the Dark tour. Seeing him like play, with the full orchestra and stuff, better times. But it was very inspirational. It let me see what it looked like to really be excellent in the way that some of my other heroes, like Michael, like Prince, what that looked like for somebody in hip hop. To me, I thought it was really dope that albums used to come out, and before the album come out, the single would have like another side to it that you could kind of check out where the artist's head was at. And I thought that was a really good way for me to kind of show my diversity and really give people a little bit of both. And I kind of played a trick where I almost put the more mainstream leaning songs on the B-sides. So just so that people would hear the more challenging stuff first and then kind of figure out how they felt and kind of challenge their idea of even what a B-side is in the first place. So Toothache and Zoom, those were the first ones that I finished, and they already kind of sounded like they spoke to each other in a way. And Toothache is very much about my family and my upbringing and like a lot of the people around me growing up and kind of capturing that vibe. And Zoom is more like internal focused and me like just talking about my own experience in the music industry and kind of like what it feels to be at this like stage of my life, like as a rapper, as an artist. So I thought that they kind of had an interesting dialogue happening between them. So that's another thing. So like I'm actually bringing in real family members too. Like my aunt came in and we brought her into the studio and had her just like yell all over the beginning of Toothache, and that was like the intro for it. Nectar and Pleasure, Pain, Passion both kind of spoke to desire. So it was natural for me to put those together too, because it was like two sides of it. One where I'm like fighting against the desire, and the other one I'm kind of like succumbing to it. Cotton Fields and For the Better, they were both like the last songs that I recorded, at least for part of them. I recorded it in the house that I grew up in before my mom sold it. So there was like a real special connection as far as just like remembering like sitting down like next to my grandmother's piano and like recording it there like on my laptop, and it just kind of had that feeling of like home. And like the first song is very much just about my childhood and growing up, and the second song is about leaving a lot of things behind and being okay with new chapters starting in your life. I think it was just very like necessary and cathartic for me to get this stuff out there now so that I could bridge the gap from where I was at with Arcade, which was, end of 2016, to where I'm at now. I've done a lot of like soul searching and growing as a person. And I think these songs kind of reflect a lot of the questions I've been asking myself, a lot of the things I've been thinking about and dealing with. I think for me, it was a combination of B.I.G. and Andre 3000. People probably wouldn't guess like the Biggie part, but I used to like, when I was a kid, like in middle school, I used to like take old Biggie raps and rap them in front of kids who like didn't know no better about like Biggie. And they would be like, oh, you're such a great rapper. And I'd be like, wow, now I have to write something as good as that. So I have one for next week. And so that was the person who kind of got me into the, like, people liking me doing other people's raps made me feel like, damn, I can deliver a rap. So maybe I should try like writing more raps, because at the time I was just making like R&B songs and stuff and funk and stuff. And then Andre, it's like when I first heard like Stankonia, and between Stankonia and Speakerbox Love Below, like that really like changed my life musically, as far as what I saw as being possible. Because like to me it was like bringing together like the funk and the like Parliament and the Prince that my dad had given me with like the Biggie that like my cousins were giving me, and gave me something completely new. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's what I need to be doing. I think there's some validity to that idea that like trap music specifically is its own genre, maybe its own like offshoot of hip hop, in the same way that like a punk rock exists separate from Chuck Berry, you know? The sooner that we get there as a culture where we can kind of just respect all the different offshoots and facets that hip hop as a culture has created, because it's such a big culture, it's so ubiquitous at this point, it's so part of pop culture that it's impossible to get back to that place where like everybody like does their homework on Biggie and knows Rakim lyrics back and forth. Like it's a moot point. There will always be people that appreciate that. I'm a person who appreciates both. I just want people to be like really honest in their music, and whether that honesty is like I popped a Zan tonight, or that honesty is, you know, I am, you know, not taking drugs, or I'm doing this. Just I want that feeling again of every time you listen to an artist, you're getting their genuine story. That's what I'm hunting down, is like authenticity. I'm playing Bonnaroo in like a month. It's probably like the biggest festival we've done so far. I'm the only one that's gonna hold me to the standard, I think. You know, no, everybody else would rather me just like put out a track every week. And maybe I'll be further along right now. You know, I look at some other people who have done it that way and they've gone a lot further, but you know, it's just like, that's not how my brain works. And I think the people who really listen to me and really rock with me, they understand that, and they just know that whenever I put something out, it is gonna be of quality. It is gonna be an improvement from the last thing.